Keep moving. So I think this is going to put keep many Ugandans in order. But one wonders what will happen on the highways, because the traffic lights on most of these highways are not there, and most of the terrible road carnage happens on the country's roads. But either way, this is a step in the right direction. Now, also, the Ministry of Works and Transport has released new number plates. They have unveiled the number plates for ministries, departments and agencies of the government. And among these, 01 means Office of the President, 02 means Education Service Commission, 03 Electoral Commission, 04 Equal Opportunities Commission, 05 Health Service Commission, 6 Judicial Service Commission, 7 Local Government Commission, and 8 Public Service Commission, 9 Uganda Human Rights Commission, 10 Uganda Law Land Commission. Well, good morning, Robert.
Indeed, it is a good morning. And people have always said, when you date a national supporter, you're lucky, because we've learned that patience pays, and we're always very patient. So for the ladies there, the lucky Zakia and others who are still a bit in that hunting, if you're looking for a man, date a man who belongs. No, of course, if men come before you. But you see, many things have changed of late. Many things have changed of late. The world seems to be upside down. And yeah, some do that hunting. If you go to these social places, you'll understand that. Now, away from that, I'm just disturbed a little bit. Change is inevitable. But one of the things that came to my mind when I saw these numbers issued up to 41, said, why first do cars have number plates? Let's ask ourselves.
For identification.
For identification.
Yes.
Now, a number plate must be very easy for someone to remember. That I was with Olivia, a car that took her was this. In case of anything, I can recall, and I can know that this is Ministry of Defense, this is tourism. Fellow Ugandans, apart from cramming number 1, that will be Office of the President, and maybe number 2, I wonder how long it's going to take Ugandans to be sure and aware up to 41, because previously they were letters, and at any concern one would say, what was the number plate? It had a D, that is defense.
But for me, H. Even for those ones, I was struggling.
But at least we would interest ourselves, because it was very easy to understand. We would have issues. Yeah,
it was easy.
For some ministries, that is education. C, that is, But now with these numbers, it's going to be very hard. And the purpose of quick identification and recalling, a car's knocked someone, hit and run, but someone was able to look at the number and say,
Robert,
this.
I actually beg to disagree. I think if you look at it and just say it was a 37, it's easy to identify 37. It belongs to what? Trade, industries and cooperatives. I think it's easier that way.
Well, you may think it's that easier for these faraway places, but I think letters were more easier for someone to understand than numbers. Then, something we've just talked about, a new system that will issue. Sometimes I feel these are very good innovations.
That will detect traffic violations.
These are
like
very good
speeding or jumping
innovations.
Traffic lights.
But we tend to put the cart before the horse. Now, in a country where we've not all gone into these number plates, I don't even want to call them digital, because they're not digital. They're just plates with enhanced features. Now, few of the cars have gotten these number plates, though we are saying that within 2 years all should be covered. Many people have cars, but the card in which that car was registered is of a different person. Now, the numbers that plate will have are for a different person. Now, I'm going to be getting messages for somebody I sold a car some many years.
No, I think you will have to register. They will register your number, just like when you're staying in someone's apartments. The messages for your bills like water do not go to your landlord. They come to your phone. Okay, so I think it's going to be the same thing. But good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Olive. Interesting conversation there. Ultimately, change comes with its intricacies here and there, but eventually we settle in and move on. But a story that has caught my eye this morning is a study done in northern Uganda districts like Arua, Oyam, Kole, Alebtong, found that students in P4 are not able to interpret or read letters as simple as U, T, I, N, or words as simple as road, hunt, car, things like that. But the common word, most of the schools, 39 schools altogether, from where the research was done, the common factor was that they could easily read the word food.
Because food is important.
Talk about the power of food right after money.
But you know, even when you're learning English, they say, you know, the one that can help you get food.
I know, but UPE schools, the class P4, and the child is not able to read a letter U, letter T, letter I, or read the word hunt, or read the word road. My goodness.
Actually,
That's
it's not
alarming.
even just about reading the word. I mean, I have a child in P5 now, but by P3, she could actually read sentences, full sentences.
Now, these are just
so
words
if you're
and
in
letters.
P4 and you can't read letters, meaning there is no experience of phonics, because phonics are the ones that help the children to learn to sound and then read. So they cannot read. I think here they are even just reading them as letters of the alphabet, not as phonics. So it begs for a lot is left to be desired. And according to that report, Julie, what are the contributing factors? Why can't these children read?
Well, as far as we know, the fact that food is important, and we know UPE schools always push parents to contribute to the food. However, most parents do not want to contribute to items as simple as food, or even a few requirements here and there.
But Julie, a whole region and children cannot read, children in P4. I think we are blaming food a bit too much right here.
Do you think it's not, don't you think it's not easy for a child as young as P4, even an adult? It's never easy to function without food.
I get that point,
so
but
imagine
the whole region failing to read, all learners
I think
failing
food
to read.
is such a
But also, I want to
No.
believe there are other factors. However, for me, what really breaks my back in universal primary education, there is no rebounding. That is one of the rules. You will go and complete.
anyways.
But what breaks my back, at the end of the day, these poor pupils are subjected to the same UNEB exams. What unfairness is there? You know, they are subjected to the same exams as your child, my child, sits. And we are told they are marked equally. We continue to pray for them.
And also, parents should be involved, actively involved. Parents seem to let it for the government anyways. That parents should be
I think this is a
actively involved.
concerted effort between the parents, between the government, many stakeholders, because yes, food is important, but I think something else is missing here. Learners in an entire district or region cannot fail to read, and the only problem is food. There is more. But let's have a look at the news.
Well, for me, I'll begin with politics. I'll go straight to a cross-section of leaders from Greater Mubende sub-region who convened yesterday afternoon in Kassanda district to interact with President Museveni. The engagement held at Mirembe Maria Catholic Parish Primary School formed part of the President's second-day program in the region. While addressing the gathering ahead of the President's arrival, Prime Minister Rob Nabbanja highlighted several key achievements registered by the government, especially in the area of health and education. Shortly after, President Yoweri Museveni, chief convener of the Wealth Creation Conferences, arrived and joined the leaders for a session. A key highlight of the meeting was the presentation of a regional memorandum by the Minister of Lands, Honorable Judith Nabakoba. In her address, Minister Nabakoba detailed progress made on government programs in the region, although also acknowledged that significant gaps still remain. In an unanimous move, regional leaders officially endorsed President Museveni as their preferred NRM flag bearer for the 2026 general elections. President Museveni, in his response, called on local leaders to prioritize mobilization for wealth creation initiatives instead of constantly lobbying for road infrastructure. He expressed concern over the state of road network, especially in areas close to the capital, and faulted government planners for failing to adequately address the issue. The president also urged leaders to promote and defend free education in all government schools. On corruption, Museveni criticized the public for remaining silent while some civil servants engage in graft unchecked. The Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Uganda, His Grace Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, urged Ugandans to unite in combating the persistent vice of corruption. Archbishop Kazimba stressed that corruption continues to undermine national development, diverting resources meant for essential public service like hospitals, schools, and infrastructure into the hands of the selfish. As Christians globally come closer to the peak of the Lent season, attention is turned to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Archbishop Stephen Kazimba Mugalu delivered his Easter message during a televised press briefing at Namirembe. He encouraged Christians to use the Easter season to renew their faith in Christ. He called on Ugandans to unite against corruption, which continues to impede the nation's progress. He also raised concern over increasing instability in the neighboring countries like South Sudan and the DRC. Kazimba urged Ugandans to respect political differences and promote national unity. The church also reaffirmed its stance on protecting youth from growing drug abuse more in schools. The 2025 Easter celebrations follow the theme, Jesus' Resurrection, our hope for eternity. And finally, on the local scene, a heated debate erupted in Parliament as members of Parliament remained sharply divided over the proposal to criminalize donations made using public funds. The Minority Report, presented by Member of Parliament Jonathan Oduru on behalf of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, strongly opposed the current budgeting for donations, dismissing it as wasteful expenditure. The issue saw MPs split, with some rallying behind the proposal while others stood firmly against it. The Minority Report further raised concern over the budget allocation to Parliamentary Public Relations Department aimed at cleaning the image of Parliament. MP John Tierra represented the Minority Report of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, recommending that government allocates sufficient funds to compensate war claimants in the upcoming financial year. An estimated 521 billion shillings is required to compensate all affected regions, although the government has budgeted only 80 billion for the 3 regions. In addition to the 40 billion approved last year, the prioritized regions include Acholi, Lango, and Teso. Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister Norbert Mao defended the selection of regions, revealing that a provision is in place to increase the war compensation budget to 150 billion shillings. Meanwhile, Enroute South Member of Parliament Jonathan Oduru used the floor to highlight what he termed as areas of wasteful expenditure. In his Minority Report, Oduru pointed to a proposed budget for new government vehicles and a separate allocation for number plates, calling for a halt to the procurement process. Oduru also reignited the continuous debate around donations from public officials, insisting on criminalizing the practice, which he describes as a form of organized corruption. The matter gained further traction as more members of Parliament voiced support for the Minority Report's position on banning such donations. And with that, we humbly come to the end of our local stories.
Now we move on to our international news, where scientists have found new but tentative evidence that a faraway world orbiting another star may be home to life. A Cambridge team studying the atmosphere of a planet called K218b has detected signs of molecules which on Earth are only produced by simple organisms. This is the second and more promising time chemicals associated with life have been detected in the planet's atmosphere by NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. But the team and independent astronomers stressed that more data is needed to confirm these results. The lead researcher, Professor Niku, said at his lab at Cambridge University's Institute of Astronomy that he hopes to obtain the clinching evidence soon. K218b is 2.5 times the size of Earth and is 700 trillion miles away from us. JWST is so powerful that it can analyze the chemical composition of the planet's atmosphere from the light that passes through from the small red sun it orbits. The Cambridge group has found that the atmosphere seems to contain the chemical signature of at least one of two molecules that are associated with life, dimethyl sulfide and dimethyl disulfide. On Earth, these gases are produced by marine and bacteria. Now moving on, Iran has confirmed that its next round of nuclear talks with the United States this weekend will be held in Rome after earlier confusion of where the negotiations would be conducted. Wednesday's announcement on Iranian state television came as Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian formally approved the resignation of one of his vice presidents who had served as Tehran's key negotiator in its 2015 nuclear deal with world powers. The head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog, Rafael Grossi, arrived in Tehran on Wednesday for talks that could include negotiations over what access his International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors can get under any proposed deal. The state TV announcement said Oman will again mediate the talks on Saturday in Rome. Oman's foreign minister served as the interlocutor between the two sides during negotiations last weekend in Muscat, the Oman capital. On Monday, some officials initially identified Rome as hosting the negotiations, only for Iran to insist early on Tuesday that its team would return to Oman. And lastly, now international news, a boat has capsized after catching fire in the Northwestern Democratic Republic of the Congo, leaving at least 50 people dead and hundreds missing, this according to local officials. The search for the missing was underway on Wednesday with rescue teams supported by the Red Cross and provincial authorities following the accident on the Congo River late Tuesday night. The motorized wooden boat with about 400 passengers caught fire near the town of Mbandaka after having left the port of Matankumu for the Bolomba territory. Competent Loyoko, the river commissioner, told Associated Press news agency. The accident began while someone was cooking on board, Loyoko said. Several passengers, including women and children, died after jumping into the water without being able to swim. About 100 survivors were taken to an improvised shelter at the Mbandaka town hall, many of them with bad burns. Deadly boat accidents are common in the Central African country, this according to Al Jazeera. And they say rescue teams were often inexperienced and unequipped to manage these emergencies. Well, that's sad news coming in from the DRC. But let's have a look at our press.
Sad indeed. Anyways, moving on to what is in the daily, starting with the new vision, Uganda, UK to exchange prisoners, and experts analyze what that is like and its implications of this new deal. But in the picture there is President Museveni, who launched Greater Mubende Skilling Hub. In the new vision, still education, more varsities release admission lists, and the Katanga trial, ballistic expert cocks gun in court. And still in the new vision, ask URA Commissioner General, why does URA attach money in banks? But also best farmers competition launched, that is in the new vision. But let's have a look at what's in the Daily Monitor. Your MPs stand on court martial. And looking at the pictures there, MPs who said to try civilians or not, who accepted and said yes, is Christopher Baryomonsi, Grace Kasanda, there's Rose Obiga, Andrew Ojok Olanya, Otafire, and Theodore Sechukubo is undecided. But there are those who said no, and Matthias Mpuga, Dr. Lulu Mebaiga, Gafia Mbwate Kamwa, Aisha Kabanda, Mohamed Nsereko all said no, and Amos Lugolovi is undecided. And the Lizard says that the paymaster will be watching keenly. But also in the Daily Monitor, Kabaka Mutebi's 70th birthday, Kabaka's memorable quotes, a celebration does continue there. And an issue on drugs, the drug hubs hidden in university neighborhoods. Still in the Daily Monitor, how local suppliers can tap into 7 trillion shillings oil deal. And Busoga Diocese installs its first female dean, and Professor Katerega and wife in bitter property bailout. And looking at what is in the Citizen, high cost of operational flaws in state entities, but also why we will participate in elections despite concerns. This is AACT party. But tears flow as TANESCO chief is buried. And also an initiative feature there, NMB Bank's 1.4 million tree milestone. That is in the Citizen. Quick look at the Daily Nation. Afia House chiefs doctored organ trafficking dossier. And poor Kenyans got 294,000 shillings for a kidney, which was then sold for 3.2 million Kenyan shillings. Inside, radical changes to school exams. That is a story in the Daily Nation. But also Koril Ntutu accused of defrauding landowners out of 22.7 billion shillings SGR payout. And that wraps it for what is in the dailies today.
All right. Back from the dailies, we have Maddie Jen, and she's doing a cover of Jessie J's price tag. Stick around. Later on and give us the details regarding that. Some people are saying Ruben is a hater. Me, I will stay neutral because Monange, for us we were humbled, but we will overcome someday. But anyway, news coming in from the Ministry of Works and Transport. They yesterday kicked off awareness session starting with the border riders, and the goal is to have fewer road crashes, safer roads, and of course saving lives. So they have introduced a smart system powered by ITMS Uganda, which automatically detects traffic violations like speeding or jumping traffic lights. Now, instantly, when this system will instantly send fine notifications to someone's phone. No need for a traffic cop to flag you down or run after you when you hit a red line, a red light, and keep moving. So I think this is going to put many Ugandans in order. But one wonders what will happen on the highways, because the traffic lights on most of these highways are not there, and most of the terrible road carnage happens on the country's roads. But either way, this is a step in the right direction. Now, also, the Ministry of Works and Transport has released new number plates. They have unveiled the number plates for ministries, departments, and agencies of the government. And among these, 01 means Office of the President, 02 means Education Service Commission, 03 Electoral Commission, 04 Equal Opportunities Commission, 05 Health Service Commission, 6 Judicial Service Commission, 7 Local Government Commission, and 8 Public Service Commission, 9 Uganda Human Rights Commission, 10 Uganda Law Land Commission. Well, good morning, Robert.
Indeed, it is a good morning. And people have always said, when you date national support, you're lucky because we've learned that patience pays, and we're always very patient. So for the ladies there, the lucky Zakia and others who are still a bit in that hunting, if you're looking for a man, date a man who belongs. No, of course, if men come before you. But you see, many things have changed of late. Many things have changed of late. The world seems to be upside down. And yeah, some do that hunting. If you go to these social places, you'll understand that. Now, away from that, I'm just disturbed a little bit. Change is inevitable. But one of the things that came to my mind when I saw these numbers issued up to 41, said, why first do cars have number plates? Let's ask ourselves.
For identification.
For identification.
Yes.
Now, a number plate must be very easy for someone to remember. That I was with Olivia, a car that took her was this. In case of anything, I can recall. And I can know that this is Ministry of Defense, this is tourism.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.